Hello! Welcome to the Python Bootcamp Data Analysis for Beginners Kick-Off. Let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Elona Galeva, and I am one of the co-organizers of PyLadies Amsterdam. I'm really happy to see all of you here, and especially big thanks to our mentors. Short intro and short tips. During this session, from the right side of your window, there is a possibility to send questions to us. So if it's something really urgent, we'll reply to it immediately. If it can wait, we'll address this question later. So the Q&A session is from the right side of your window. And as well, this video is recorded, and record will be available on our YouTube channel. We push all announcements on our LinkedIn channel, so please subscribe and follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube as well. So now let me introduce Demi Dundas. She's the second co-organizer of PyLadies Amsterdam. Demi, welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm Demi and I'm super excited that you're already here. If you have any questions, raise them, ask them. Ilona will monitor them, and if they regard all of you or affect all of you, we'll make sure to handle those. And if I'm going too fast or too slow, please let us know as well so we can adjust accordingly. Let's start. Hope everybody is excited. I'm going to share my screen now with you. So, let me check. Okay, so you are probably all familiar with this page. It is the GitHub page that we have here, and I'm going to briefly walk you through the README, so what you can see here how we're doing, and I hope everybody was able to install everything. If not, if you have any troubles still with installing Python or Jupyter notebooks, the mentors are here to help you. Before we start, I'm just going to briefly show you how you start your Jupyter notebook for everybody that is not familiar yet with how to start it. I'm working on Mac, as you might can see. So that's why I'm going to use Mac comments. Ilona will also help you if you have trouble, or the mentors will also help you if you have troubles to start. So I'm using Common Space now to use my Spotlight. And I'm going to my terminal, which is my terminal, or in my case, I also have iTerm installed. So it is a different terminal you can use. It doesn't really matter. So both are here, and I'm going to use this one. So first I need to go to my folder where the bootcamp is. So I will use change directory, and I go to the documents, PyLadies. That's where I have the Python notebooks. So in there, I will want to see what directories I have there. So I will ls, and I will go to the Bootcamp Data Analytics. Now I'm here. I hope everybody is able to see this now.
Yeah. Sorry, Demi, can you just zoom in it a little bit?
Is this better?
I do hope. Let us check. I hope. Yeah, let's try. If it's not visible, then people will ask to zoom it more.
Okay, so
thanks.
Yeah. In here, you will see that I am using an environment, and the environment is currently base. So if you're programming, it's very useful to use virtual environments, which are local space on your computer where you have a separate place where you can all install dependencies or modules. And we're going to show you later what that is. But first, we are going to make this together, which we'll do with conda. And the command for that is conda create -n for name. And we give the environment, we give it a name, which is, for example, Bootcamp. Because I already have a Bootcamp, I'm going to use Bootcamp 1 for now. And I need a Python version, which is 3.7, for example. I'm going to press enter now, and then conda will create an environment for me. I say yes. So here again, the comment. This is the name of your environment. We have to wait for a bit, and this is going to execute. If you made a mistake, you can also, on a Mac, use Ctrl+C to stop it if you need to, but it will be okay if you do this. I'm going to show you something else as well while we're waiting, because I already have the environment installed. So here you see I did an interruption because I already have an environment. Well, you let it run and you can see your environment with a conda help command, and you can see what conda can do for you. So for example, this is conda create, conda list, and then conda env to see what comments, environments you already have there. See, I have Bootcamp installed. And if you do conda list after the installment, it will probably also give you the Bootcamp. So if I want to activate my environment, I will just do conda activate Bootcamp. And the environment Bootcamp is activated. Now everything I install, I will do this in this environment, which will make your programming way better. Why do we need to do this? If you have different versions of, for example, Python, or you have different, Python is, now you use Python 3.7, and later in this bootcamp, we'll be using conda, which has also a version, but that version of pandas is only available, for example, with Python 3.7. So if you would not install that together, it will throw errors. And we will see that later in this bootcamp. Now we're going to start the Jupyter Notebook. And we'll do this with the Jupyter Notebook command. And you will see that the notebook is opening. What is very good to remember is that you have to be in the right directory to open it. You can also be in a different directory. On Mac, if we want to close this again, we'll use Ctrl+C, and then we close the notebook again. So if I would go back and I would do it again, it's also fine, but then a new tab will open here, and you will be in a different directory. Here I see one directory lower. I can also go to your home. So this is kind of your folder within Mac. So the file system, for example. So here you have your documents folder. Here's PyLadies, like I do here. I'm in the PyLadies folder. And if I press bye, ladies, I'm at the bootcamp again. Okay, let's start. We'll go to lessons, week 1. This one I actually don't need anymore, so you don't have to look at it anymore. I'll make it a bit smaller. And here. So before we start, just some notes. This is the course assumes no programming knowledge before, so that you didn't have any knowledge before. That's why we go maybe too slow for you. If it's going too slow, just read along, and maybe you can also look at week 2 again and let us know if it is too less material, so we can make extra material for you next week. We were talking about data structures in Python, how to work with Jupyter notebooks. You're going to write your own functions. You will learn to manipulate CSV files and text files. We'll learn you the basics of JSON and also the data types that Pandas is using. We're not talking about runtimes or how you write classes. That will be maybe later in some other bootcamps. First, a bit about the programming, what programming is, and you have so in general you have natural languages and formal languages. Programming language is a formal language, and it is more structured. Is without the punctuation is, for example, very important. I will not go into this too deeply. You can read it all yourself, and we want to spend our time in actual programming. Before we start, it is good to know why you should use Python and why it's very handy to use. So a lot of people are using Python because it's quite easy to learn. And you can do development of desktop and web application, and you can also analyze and visualize data with it. So it's very handy to get a grasp out of it. And if you, after this bootcamp, are able to read Python, that's already very good. Python is a high-level programming language, which is using an interpreter. And therefore, you need some tools to execute your code. There are a few ways how you should use that. And you can read that yourself, but I'm going to show you a bit which tools you can use. So the command line is one of them, which we already used here, like you can see. So I'm going to show you how you can execute Python from your command line as well. So what I will do, going to my terminal again. You can use terminal. And I have Python installed on my computer. So you see Python 3.7. If you only have Comma installed, you probably will not see this, but you probably will see Python 2.7 if you so if I want to execute Python, I can just easily type Python, and then I can use Python.
Demi, can you zoom a little bit?
Yeah, sorry, I will zoom in.
Thanks a lot.
Not sure if I can do it with this one. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, so once again, the Python version you can check here. And if you just want to use Python on your computer, this is on Mac. I'm not sure how this is on Windows, but you can just use Python here. And then you are actually programming already.
Yeah, and for the Windows, it's just Anaconda prompt. So all commands can be executed in the Anaconda prompt. I see it as a recurring question. So yeah, Anaconda prompt will do the trick for Windows.
Do they hear you talking as well, or should I repeat?
No, go.
Okay, great. So yeah, that's how you can use it already. So that's one of them. We can also use an EDI, which is that looks scary. That's an integrated development environment. Spider, PyCharm, Sublime are all those tools. I am actually a fan of Sublime, so it's easy, and I will show you. Oh, I don't need it here. So if you want to go out, use quit.
Yeah, and the people just asking a little to slow a little bit down.
Okay.
And as well, try not to type and speak simultaneously because they hear or keyboard or you.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, I will do that. So next one, how you can execute your code is by EDI, and I will use Sublime now. For example, you can look it up. You can look EDIs up after the bootcamp if you want to. It's not necessary for this bootcamp, but it is good to know that you need, if you want to use Python, you need something to execute your code in. We'll be using Jupyter notebooks, but this is also a way how to execute your code. I will show you. For example, and here I can also create a new file in this environment and make a new file and execute my Python code here. We'll not go into detail this deep, but Sublime is one, PyCharm is one, Spider is one. Yeah, you can look that up yourself if you want to. We are going to focus on Jupyter notebooks. So I'm going to start my Jupyter notebook again. Now this one can go on. The Jupyter notebook is used a lot in data science. So if you want to, and for data analytics as well, it is very easy. Why? You can also create some extra explanation from your code, which we'll go into as well, because it is very useful if you want to explain something that you can use Markdown. Markdown you will find here. What I'm going to show you here is that if you want to type something yourself, so you want to make notes, you can use insert above or insert below, and then a cell pop up. And this cell you can execute as code, or you can execute it as Markdown. And if you use Markdown, you can just type something, and it will give you normal text. If you want to remove this, just use this one. So then you can make your own notes. You can also do it within here. Double click, and then you can type something here if you want to. Now you see I changed this to hi. And actually, you can do that yourself as well. So then you can make notes yourself. Okay, it's very handy for you to use the correct version, so we are on the same page. In here, we are going to use Python version 3.7 point something. I'm using 3.7.6 here. Like I showed you before, if I'm making a new terminal, I can also do that here. And you will see the same version. Okay, before we go on, one concept of programming is very important, which is debugging. And debugging you have to do all the time because your program is not running if there is an error there. And catching errors and solving them is called catching bugs and solving your bugs. There are different kinds of bugs and also different kinds of errors. And about errors, I will talk a bit later. But really important is when you find something, when you find that your code is not working, keep on trying. Yeah, control your emotions in that sense. Sometimes it works just to stand up, just talk about it with somebody, just type out your questions. Sometimes you have to really speak about your questions and about why it's not working, and then sometimes you find out yourself as well. Programs in general are just a sequence of instruction that you give to the computer to execute. And the components of a program are the input. So the user tells what you need to do. For example, a click on a button is an input, which will generate an output. So for example, if I click on the button +1, then you see a number going to 2, for example. Calculations you can do within a program, and more things. It's very important for, if you start, to break your program up in smaller pieces. So that's it. Let's start with basic data types. So in Python, you have different kinds of data types and different kinds of programs. So, you make your own programs. So this is an example of a calculation that you do and a program. So basically, this you can call a Python program already. Then we're talking about the concept of printing. Printing we do for humans and not really for the computer, but is very handy in debugging your code. So if I would not use print in a normal program, I will never find my bugs. So always be printing and think about that if you're debugging your code. Yeah, you can try it yourself here. So change this one, for example. And it will print something else. That's already your first line of code. You can do simple calculations, you can do multiplications, you can do basically everything that you want to do with your normal calculator. You can do it in Python in your notebook here as well. So basic operations are plus, subtractions, divisions, and all different bitwise operations you can do in Python, like you use your calculator, for example. It's very handy for math calculations. Then we move on to types and values. So within Python, or within programming in general, you have the int, which is an integer, and an integer is a 5 or a 7 or any number that you can think of. We call that integer. What we don't call an integer is something with a dot in between, so a float. So something that has a decimal. That is a float. There's a different data type. I think this is distracting. And we also have a string. A string can be something that you type, and it's always in between parentheses or brackets. I'm always forgetting what the name for it is. But it's always in between this. That is the type of the string. So you can make a sentence, or you can just make a word. And then that's the type string. So basically, these are the most 3 important things that you need. Which operations can you do with strings? You can actually do quite a lot here, but it's very important that you always use these things to end. So what if I execute this? It will work. But if I do this, it won't work. Why? Because I use this one here as well. So that's why you have a difference in between the two. Oh, sorry. So that's why there is a difference here in the 2 brackets or the one bracket. Bracket is not. What is the? I don't know. What is the good one? Is it bracket or how is it?
It's a brackets. Yeah,
it's
parentheses, brackets. Okay. Yeah.
The other one is the parentheses. Sorry, English is not my native language.
It's okay. Can you make your notebook a little bit bigger to zoom in?
Okay.
Yeah, because it's still too small. Thanks.
Okay. So yeah, try it yourself. Just try yourself to create a sentence like, "Hey, are you?" and print it. You can do it yourself. And during when I'm speaking, just try this out because it's very important that you are doing this yourself. With strings, you can do all the operations that you can actually do with numbers as well. So I can not really do this, but I can do 3 times hooray. Oh, wait, I want to show you. And the difference here is I didn't use print for this one. And in Jupyter Notebooks, it works. But in other programs or in other environments, this is not working. So please make sure that you know that difference. So it actually says, hey, I'm a string here. Well, we talked about errors, and there are 3 types of errors. There are syntax errors, runtime errors, and semantic errors. And syntax errors are the most basic type of errors. They will tell you if you're doing okay or not, if your program has a problem or not. So it actually exists when Python doesn't really know what you're trying to do. And it can be very helpful, like here. It's maybe a bit scary because there are a lot of colors and like, what does it say? But try to read the error. Always try to read the error. Here it's saying syntax error, so you know that you did something wrong. So the computer cannot read further. So you have to see it like this. Maybe we normal people, if we see a sentence without a point, it is quite hard for us to read it, but we can still read it. The computer cannot read it. So you really have to be punctual in there and make sure that you use that point or you use those brackets or parentheses. So in here, print is not working. Why? The error is actually saying, I'm missing parentheses. So if I use the parentheses again, it will work and I don't have an error anymore. We also have runtime errors and semantic errors. I would not worry too much about this yet, but sometimes you will see your Python notebook or your notebook here going with a star and keeps on doing with the star. What you have to remember then, this notebook is probably having a runtime error or it just takes a lot of time. But after a few minutes waiting for your code to execute, it probably will doesn't result into anything, or your program will already say to you, okay, runtime error. And what you do then is stop your notebook and rerun it again. So here I'm interrupting my kernel, which basically means, here you see something changing already. No, doesn't really want to be bigger. But I'm stopping it. This means stop. And then I have to execute my notebook again. And I can execute it again. So that is good to know. If you get stuck here, you can always press this and kernel restart. Do you want to restart? Yes, I want to restart. And then you will see that your notebook is in here. For example, here is 8. This will become 1 again, and it will start executing from here. Or you can run your entire notebook. Restart.
Demi, yeah, restart. And can you make it still bigger? Because for people who have, let's say, smaller screens, it's really hard to see anything. Yeah, I think
Is this good enough?
I think, yeah, let's try this. Yes, let's try this. Yes, let's try this.
So
Thanks a
I'm
lot.
to a bit behind. So yeah, you can use the kernel and restart and run all again. Make sure to save your program before you restart it, because otherwise it's gone. Okay, those are the basics, and now we'll be talking about variables, lists, and comments. Variables is something that you maybe know from math in your school, and it is just something to name. Yeah, is it named memory location to still a value? What does that mean? I want to give this string. I want to use it further in my program again. So for example, I don't want to use it only here, but I also, that was, by the way, an A. I did a shortcut there. So insert below is also, if I run my notebook, which is with the Shift Enter. Shift Enter is the shortcut for running. This one. Yeah. So if I do Shift Enter and go A, it will give me an extra one. So sorry if you thought that was magic. But I used a variable Demi and I used a variable name and assigned Demi to it, age 26, and now I can start using that in a bigger string. So my name is Demi and I'm 26 years old. So try to create an extra cell and do that for yourself as well. I can also add a 1 year to my age. So then I do age plus 1, and it will result in 27. This what you see here is it's called string interpolation, and what it does, it makes sure that you can print something with a variable in it. So if I would change this, for example, to age, you will guess it. It will change to is 26, 26. I can use a variable as much as I want. So I can print that again here. But if I would overwrite the variable, for example, Nina, I'm not sure if Nina is here, but then if I print name, it will, sorry, I have to use print, then it will print Nina. So you can overwrite variables, and that's also very not so handy if you are used to more programming, and sometimes you overwrite your variables by accident. But in general, in Python, this is you can do this. You can also see that here and try it for yourself as well. So we are assigning 17 to the variable x and 39 to the variable I. And now I say, okay, I'm using z as an extra variable, and z is now x. So if I would print x of z, what would I get? 17, because it's here and it's overwriting. But if I would print x, I'll still get 17. Maybe you see here, this is a comment. That means that I can actually tell you what I'm doing here. And how to use that? It is in Mac is comment and then this sign. I'm not sure what it is, like the slash. So comment slash will make you, will show you a hashtag, and a hashtag stands for comment. And what the comment does, so the hashtag does, it makes sure to not run your code, because if I do this, it will throw an error. It says, I don't know that. It is the syntax error, it's invalid syntax. Is there another way to do the shortcut on Windows? I don't know.
Sorry, for which one?
For the comment.
It's Control and slash.
Control slash. So
yes.
On Windows it's Control slash, and on Mac it is it's command slash. Okay, so if I use the same thing above here, so I print the X and the Y, we have the old one is 39, which you can see here, and the new one is 17. Easy like that. You can use it like this, but you can also use it like this. See the difference? And I can even do it like this. Then I have to tell Python that it is a string. Those are all different ways of using it, but this is the most easy one, I would say. Okay, we're going to list sets and indexing. This is actually a difficult part from data types. Lists are variables where you can store multiple data types in. So, for example, a list will always, by the way, use brackets in Python. So you can see this is a list based on the brackets that we have here. Lists can use every data type. It can have strings in there. It can have a string and an int, and it can even have an extra string inside of it. Strings are categorized by the way that they are mutable, so you can change them. Mutable and immutable is a term that I'm going to use a bit more often. So strings are immutable and lists are mutable. That means that you can change them. Okay, so why would you use lists? For now, that maybe is a bit weird, but you'll see later if you want to do repetitive tasks and are going to use loops. For example, if you need to say hi to a lot of people and you want to loop over a list, while doing that later. So what is, for example, oh, this is not very handy for me. Okay, so here we would have 3 lists, and you can give the list, you can give them a name. They're actually a variable now. So we have a list called squares, and we have a list called words. And list you can also do operations with. So both of the lists, we can plus them together, and they will be together then. Can also do another list. And then I have a really big list. I did that here as well. Okay. Sets are kind of a list, but then only unique elements. So for example, you will see a list like a set would, if a list would be this. And a set is categorized by these curly brackets. And what a set will do is print only the unique variables. So if somebody asks you, give me the unique variables in this set of integers or strings, it will only print these ones out, which are very handy to use. So if we want to index lists, so we want to know what the first is and the last is, it works like this. You don't really have to use print now. But remember that we made a list here, which is called words. If I want to have the third word, which is daily, I can just do 3. Remember that Python is always starting with 0 index. So not with 1, but with 0. You have all different ways of indexing a list, so looking at which point you want to go through. And you can also go directly to the end of the list, which you can use with minus. So this is the same. Try it yourself, and also try slicing. What is slicing? Yeah, it's getting subsets of lists. The dot stands for the beginning or the end. It depends on where you place it. So, for example, give me all the words. You do it like this. But give me the first index and the second index, so 0 and 1. You do it like this. Sorry. And if you want to get the full list, you can do it like this again. Or I want to have the first until the -1, so the one minus the last one. You can do it like this. So try it yourself. Make a comment. So here you will not print the other one. You don't want to print this one. So try to print your own name in a list. So create your own list. For example, my list. And then your name. Remember, it doesn't really matter if you use 2 or 1. And I can also use an integer here. Sorry. Print my list. Python has no problems with single or doubles. If we want to change an element in a list, so this we call an element, and this we call an element, for example, or an item in your list, you can just overwrite it. So if I want to change the third element in a list to Ilona, for example, I can just use the list, my list, the third element, and I'll call it Ilona. Then I have to print my list again. And this was the list, and now this is the list. You can also do it like this. I have 2 times Ilona because I'm overwriting this list instead of that list because I executed the other list again. So if I would start executing this one, then this, you will get 50 back. So just play with those lists yourself. I can also change it to an integer or another list. You can do also the same with strings. So, for example, if I use a single word here, which is was, and I want to change the second letter, or get the second letter. So the second letter is, actually the third is the S, and I want to change this word or the third letter to the R. Then get, oh, sorry, those are, so sorry, this was my mistake. Strings are, remember that I said in the beginning, strings are immutable. Here you also get the type error is saying that this data type string does not support item assignment. So I cannot go through the first and override it with an R. And it will throw an error to me. Okay, maybe we'll do a little break. Lona, should we do a little break or?
I think we see, so what I don't see the, okay. Yeah, we can do it. Let's say 3 minutes. And
Okay.
then we'll get back in 3 minutes.
Okay,
right?
perfect.
Okay.
Are there any questions so far that we need to go over?
There are a lot of questions, but they're mostly about, the latest question, what the shortcut to press the run button when using Windows. So I will be answering it right now. To run the current cell, yeah. So this is the last one. And the rest of the questions were mostly basic about like the structure, what is there, what should be there.
Okay. Are we going too fast? Are we going too slow?
Just a second. We don't know yet. I think sure it's about the 3 minutes pause. Okay. Because I have some delay with messages, and they arrived in batches. So, but for now, yeah, nothing new. I think sure. Let's assume that sure was about the break. Wait a minute, I saw something incoming. So the speed is perfect. Okay. The benefit is that this is being recorded, so we can check it back later. Okay. Oh. Okay. Okay, I see that. Yeah, there is some delay, definitely. I get what it is. Because when for streaming, we have approximately 1 to 2 minutes of delay. So everything that happens with us right now, people see it in 1 or 2 minutes later. That's where this delay came from. So for now, what I see that speed is perfect. Benefit that will be recorded, so check them back later. For now, I think the speed is fine. I'm not up and running with the notebook yet, but can follow the explanations well. After the lecture, I look into how to access the notebook, etc. Okay, and I see that something else incoming. Okay, Demi, this is a question for you. Question is how to include an item in the list if it's not word 4. If it's not 4 and it's fourth element, how to include an item in the list if it's not word. How to include an item in a list if it's not word.
If it's not word. So if it's not a word, maybe?
I do hope.
Okay, so we have a new list. And I'm assuming that you mean a string, for example. So we actually want to add something to a list. So this is a string, this string, with a number. $40, $41. Always your 41. So now we have a new list. And we maybe want to do this. So we cannot do that into the list. Is that what we mean, or do we want to add something to the list? Because if we want to this like we saw, the multiplication will work. So I can even make a new string of it, but the plus word is not working. I think she maybe means this, or he. Now we have the new list with the word, but we want to append it to the list. So we actually want to plus it to the list, which makes sense to me to do it, but Python cannot do it this way. So what we need is append. Sorry. And now if we have the new list, it has the word 2 times because it's in here. So let me remove it here, rerun the new list, append the word, and here you see the word. If I want to append a number, let's say 10, I can do it this way as well. See what is happening? Because we overwrite the new list with word first, it still pops up here. So what if we run this again, new list, now append 10, guess what? Word disappears. This way you can play around with your words.
Yeah, and there was as well a really good question. I was waiting for it as well. The question is, how can I replace a character in a word if the string is immutable?
You want to change
a character in a word? Yeah, so yeah, how to change a character in a string if it's immutable?
You want to change, for example, the L.
Right.
But then you want to change the variable, right? Or how?
Yeah, I think it's better to say in this way that string is immutable. So if you want just to change the same string, it's, let's say, impossible.
Yes.
But what you can do, you can create a copy of the string and modify it as you want it.
So, for example, second word. Hi. And then we want to change word to hi. This? You think? This is overriding variables, so I'm not sure if that is what is meant. But yeah, you cannot change strings. Strings are immutable. You can change lists. Ints, for example, are also immutable. So those you just cannot change. You can add things to a string, but yeah, you cannot. You cannot change the string. You can add things to a list, and you can remove things from a list, but you cannot really do that with a string. You can only show the first 5 words, of, for example, from the string. So if I have a long string, I can only show this word, but it actually counts like a list all the elements. So, So this is the first, this is the second, third, fourth. So, for example, it will actually take the 5th character until the last character, or until the 10th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, sorry, 5. It's the same with the list. Maybe if we make this a list, so you see what it was. I forgot here the last character from the list. So it is saying syntax error. Hey, look at your last element. Here is something missing. Then I know I have to look at the end of the list. And if I do this again, let's say sentence, I would get, because the 5th element until the 10th is not very existing. Now I get only this one. Now I get this one. So you can do indexing with strings, you can do indexing with a list, but you cannot change anything in the string. Is that maybe a bit clear? I hope so. If we have flagging.
Yeah, I think it's clear. There was a question, can we also amend a new item to a list? I think it was about, can we also append a new item to a list?
Absolutely. So, for example, we have this sentence again. And we want to add the 2nd word to the sentence. We use append for this. Oh, sorry, I have to print it, of course. Now hi is added. I also can do append sentence, append hoi. Oh, and then if I then I have hi hoi. I have to override it again. Oh, pop is not working. Delete. I'm not sure. Oh, sorry, this is different. You can also remove, I think it is. So now if I would print sentence, this is removed. Sorry, I forgot these. Oh, and by the way, if I don't know what the comment is, I will show you this, of course, later, but I will just Google it. So, for example, I wanted to remove something from a list. I will just Google remove item from, see, I have from list Python. And people will tell me how to do this. I like to go to Stack Overflow. And here people ask a question. I found remove, but it isn't really working. Well, people tell me here delete, or tell me pop. It works all different ways. So we'll go into Googling later. But if I don't remember anymore how it works, I just Google. I don't know everything, and I totally forget sometimes everything. For example, I forgot pop, I forgot remove. Now here it is delete. So it changes per versions as well, and yeah, I forget things. So this is how we remove items from a list. Yeah. So that was lists. And actually, we're going to move into the first steps of programming now. And we're going to use for loops. And we'll be repeating for loops next week as well, because for loops are kind of hard to grasp. Of course, if you just learn Python for the first time and just learn about data types, it's really hard as well. But you use for loops to loop over your lists or loop over data types like strings, or just want to do not everything twice, or you don't want to type extra things. So you want to do things more often. That's when you use a for loop. Here we created a list and a set. So remember a set, this was a set, remember? So it will give me only every item one time. That is not the case with a list. If you want to check the data types, always do it like this. It can be very helpful for debugging. Okay, how do for loops work? It is also very hard to explain, I think, but just try to read this sentence for yourself. It is for an item in your list. That is basically what it's saying. You can change this to E, to X. It doesn't really matter. For something in your list. That is what it's saying here. So now I'm using word. I want to print the word. This has to be always the same. I want to print every word in my word list. So if I change my word list, or no, I'm not sure how you do it, how you type this. Fifth, I can write fifth. I'm super dyslexic, people, sorry. So now it will print fifth. And I can change this to, for example, X or to I. Let's try I. Now it will give me an error. It will not give me an error, but I'm not sure what this is. It does not behave the way I want it, because I want to print this one, and this one. So this has always to be the same, but it can be X, Z, whatever. And I can also do 2 times, and it will give me 2 times this. I can do also transformations in the list, on every item of the list. So for a word, in my word list, I want to do plus and. So if I would run this, first and, second and, can also do plus. Doesn't really matter. If now you see it is printing it after each other, because Python needs to know if you need a space. You can also do this. See, I need a space here too. We can do the same with numbers. Doesn't really matter. So remember the word set that we had here? Print a number times 2, for example, or times 4. That was actually what we had about for loops. And that was basically enough for the first time, because for us it was also trying out how much material we could put in one lesson. So I'm going to give you some tips and how we are asking questions. And afterwards is something to enrich your knowledge. And I will also show you how to use the git command a bit better. So what you have to do to come here. And we'll also then afterwards show you again how to start up your Jupyter notebook and how not to forget to activate your environment. And that you can read up on yourself later. And then after we go to the assignments and the homework that you can do yourself, and a bit here as well, so you can ask some questions already. And I will explain you later what the difference is between the two. First, the tips. It is very, very important if you're programming to just do stuff. I learned to program a few years ago on school, and or actually university, and I came from a finance background, and I didn't see a computer. I could barely put the computer on again, so that's where I come from. And I totally could not get the concept of printing or even for loops. It cost me like 4 weeks. So I come from there, and if you don't get your for loops now, or you don't get the printing statements or whatever, you will get there. Just make sure that you don't watch only. So get that notebook there, get it out, and make sure that you only just are like insert below and 5 plus 3, 5, or try it, just do it. And make sure that you make mistakes and that you assign variables to it. You really have to try it out and make mistakes and ask your questions. So then the second tip is to use comments. So like we said, it is very handy to use comments. And later in the course, we'll teach you how to use good comments. But for now, you can use the comments to explain yourself what you're doing, and also use the notebook. So once again, if I do assert above the extra cell and I go to Markdown, I can type here this I. You can also use if you want to use map transformations or how to use the cells, there's plenty of stuff that you can use. Heading, for example. And it will give you a heading. Double click on the item to type something. Also try this yourself. Okay. Yeah, you have to talk about your problems out loud because, like I said, rubber ducking is a real thing, and you really have to talk about it. Sometimes I'm just talking about my problem to my colleague, and I say, okay, this and this is my problem, and blah, 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 and then I'm actually solving it myself because I'm talking about the problem. So that helps with programming. And try to explain why your code is not working, because your brain is working that way. Like, you try to explain yourself why stuff is not working, and then your brain is going to make actually a suggestion on why it does work this way or does not. And it is very important to use breaks, because breaks are to take breaks, because breaks will make sure that you clean your mind again, you stand up, take some water, walk around, and you go back. It's very important to do so. It will really, really help you. It will also help you to program every day, only 15 minutes. Get your Jupyter notebook on. It can be scary, but please do it because it will help you. Then ask questions in a good way. And what are questions in a good way? It really helps you to get help from other people, because if people want to help you, they really need to know the concept. They really need to have the background. They need to know what you're trying to do, how it looks like. So please, before you ask questions in our hashtag Bootcamp help channel in PyLadies, make sure that you study this so that you ask your questions in a really good way. It is also nice to make a screenshot. I personally use Zappy, and this is not, and I don't get paid for this, but it is really nice. It is from Zapier and it's free. So what I can do here, I can make a screenshot out of that and can actually directly point out what I'm trying to do. So that's very helpful for me. Yeah. So, and sometimes I can type, hey, this is my problem, but sometimes the copy of your code is very helpful. If you want to study after this, please read up on numbers, strings, data types, lists, and tuples. That will help you for next week. And then we are first going to the exercises. We'll give you some time because we have still a few minutes. You can work yourself on the exercises while we're here, and then we are supporting each other together. So we're going to back to the homework, and you will find exercises here. Exercises you can do now, because you have still some minutes in this bootcamp. And you can try it yourself. So we'll be here for a few minutes. Ilona is here. Ask your questions in the Q&A and try to do your exercises here. We'll give you like 7 minutes or so, and then we're going to do the first 2, 3 maybe together and show you how this has been done. And then after you can do the 4th exercises yourself. We'll wish you luck. Type in your problems or something if something is not working in the Q&A now, and we'll help you with that. After 10 minutes, we'll come back and I will show you the last thing about starting your notebook again, and we'll finish off together. But make sure that you do the first, 2nd, and 3rd exercise now yourself.
Demi, this was a question. What is the name of the screenshot app?
Yeah, I will. Let me see. I think it's Zappy.
What is the name?
Zappy, I think. I'm not sure. I have to. Yeah, this one.
Can you make it bigger? Yeah, thanks.
It's called Zappy. I really like it.
Good. There is as well one question. It's a little bit maybe old one, but there is a question about sets. So can we maybe get back to it? It was an option with word set. And the question is about how to access the 2nd element of a set. This doesn't seem to work.
Okay.
Set.
Yeah, so sets and are actually, if you, okay. So you can get, what's get, I don't use it that often. Okay, no. I'm not sure, sets are not, are muted, I don't use sets that often. So for, to my case, indeed, you cannot index index set indeed. Why is this? Because it doesn't really have an element, but in this case, I actually will Google it. So
Yeah, you can say if you want to access an element, if you need it somehow, you want to access this element, you can just convert it to a list really fast and access it if you need it right now. But normally, yeah, we use set for a little bit different reasons.
Yeah, so indeed. So actually, sets are kind of handy to you would not really want to have, you would not normally use sets indeed to index that, but if you really want to have, for example, this is a use case of a set. So I would make a list, and I have a really, really long list of all numbers. And I actually have this multiple times. But I'm not interested in all these numbers. I'm only interested in all the unique numbers. So what I would do, I would make a set out of my list. And how I can do that is actually so my list doesn't exist. Name error. That's also a different error because I spelled it wrong. Now my set, I'm actually going to put this here because otherwise it will give me that. So now my set is actually the unique numbers from here. And if I would want to use this again, I would make it a list. And now I can actually index it. Well, so the use case of sets is more like to find your unique numbers, and further in the course, you will see that we are using dictionaries, and dictionaries are actually kind of, the set is a basis to also understand dictionaries. This is a use case in which you can use unique elements in a list. So if you're not sure if something is duplicated or something, you can you can use a set for that. Were there other questions?
No, it was mostly about the shortcuts, tools. Remember this delay that we have, 1-2 minutes. Yeah, if a space indexed in the list, so if it's a list element, if of course indexed or not. So the basic, just something incoming. So there is the comment that said are not indexed, and the second comment is, so sets aren't ordered either then, right?
Ordered, as in just if a set is ordered. No, you can just make your set the way you want it. So for example, if I would print my set, it is at least it is getting ordered in the sense that you remove all the duplicates from that. So here you see I created a set of my list and it makes it ordered for you here.
Okay, there is a question, another one. It's not about sets. So the question is, should we hand in answers to assignments and exercises? Do we need a GitHub account? I have a GitLab account.
Yeah, so that's a good one. We do not need you don't have to hand in your exercises. And also, you don't really need to hand in your homework or your assignments for now. The reason why we don't do this because we're not your teacher. So it is up to you if you make it, and if you don't, you don't. But it will help you. We'll publish the answers to it, and if you don't are able to make them, ask questions in our Bootcamp channel. So no, you don't have to hand them in. It's just nice for you to make them. And actually, if you don't have enough, you can Google for more assignments. So Python exercises, beginner, because I really want to remind you here that all that we do, we take a bunch of what we find in the internet, what we had in classes ourselves before, and give it to you. So we try to do that structured. If you feel like, okay, that's not enough for me, go online and practice Python, for example.org. This is one problem maybe because you don't know yet what is hard and what is not. So character input, you will get that later from us. We'll try to give you as much as possible what is collected together, but if you feel like those are not enough, you can Google. I would just recommend to keep it for this week with the exercises here. And after this week, you can maybe Google a bit more yourself as well. The assignment, the difference between those two is that the assignments are kind of bigger, and I want to give you the experience of doing a small exercise. So if you're not able to do like this small exercise, you're probably are not able to do the assignment because the assignment is bigger. So first do your exercises, then do the assignment. For this week, we try to keep it very limited, so you get the use of it. Try out Python, try out GitHub. So the question was, do I need to have a GitHub account? Yes, it is very handy. And as well, if you want to show other people that you're learning Python, it is nice because you have your own GitHub account. You can already work with Git and GitHub, and you can show other people what you're doing. So here, enrich your knowledge. You will find ways on how Git works, what GitHub is, and to try it yourself, and also a bit more about virtual environments and Conda. So because we are almost running out of time, I'm going to show you once again how to start your Jupyter notebook and how to close it, and how to access it from your terminal again, so next time you don't have problems. And there is one thing I want to show you as well, which is using the newest version of our notebooks, because that is very important for next time. Sometimes we change the notebooks, we want to upload the latest version of this. So we need to commit this to GitHub for you to see it afterwards again. So let me show you that first, and then we'll go out of the notebook. Can do that.
And I also want to add one thing in between. So for those who have Windows or Linux, for Linux, it will work. For Windows, you can do all things with Anaconda prompt, and some of the commands, if they will not work, we will share with you the list of shortcuts how to do this, because there are definitely some differences between running it on Windows and on Mac. So don't worry, on Windows, you can follow the whole thing with Anaconda prompt. Thanks, Demi.
Yeah, great. So let's close the notebook here for a second. I want to save it. And then I put Control-C to close it. Do you want to shut down? Yes, I want to shut down. Oh, that was a T. Yes. I want to shut down. So it's closing through kernels, it says. Now, I cannot use it anymore. No. To. Yeah, so basically, if I would go to the Bootcamp, as here in my computer, you see that I've initialized the repository from Git, and I can do git status to see if I changed anything. So what you saw, I changed the notebook because we were running through it, and for me, it is very important to update this notebook with you. So I will push this to GitHub so you can actually pull it again. You can always check git status. And the only thing that you need to know is that you have to do git pull. And it says already up to date because it didn't commit anything. Sorry, git pull origin master is an important comment for you to remember. That is what you always need to use if we start the lesson again. So before you start, use this command. What it will do, it will go to this page, and it will get the newest, the latest version from this one and this one, or from the entire repository. So from this one. Okay. We'll have a few minutes. So this is again how I start my Jupyter notebook. And remember, with CD, I can go back, and CD dot I go back on. And I think on Mac it is dir change.
Yeah, so CD, the same command on Windows, on Linux, git pull, the same command. Yeah, there is difference if you will do ls. It doesn't work on Windows. On Windows, you're using dir.
Dir.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you list out what is in there. So here I have the lessons and the homework. Okay. Remember that we made at the beginning, we made an environment. So how do you start your environment?
Can you zoom it a little bit, please? Yes, thanks.
And then you see you activated your environment. And here, now I deactivated my environment again. So before you start your next lesson, this is, I'm just doing the arrow up and down. So before you start your lesson, always conda activate your environment. And then use the Jupyter notebook. On Mac, I use tab as a quick space. How do you do it? To fill in everything?
The same on Windows, okay. on Linux machine.
And I just press enter to start your notebook again. There it is. And Control C. Yes. Okay. You're more than welcome to create a new notebook in here if you want to. Oh, I stopped it, so I have to start it again. So to try yourself. But don't, I don't think we're able to push it to our repository, right? I don't know.
Sorry, can you repeat? Because I'm reading questions.
Oh, yeah, no worries. So yeah, now I created a new notebook with new here. And this is for yourself to try out, for example. This is how you rename it.
Yeah, and we have question, really good one. So the question is, what is base and why did it show just after installing Conda?
Base is, well, your base environment actually. That is your local, that's your local computer. That's without any environment activated. Why it's Sunny? So base will be the basis of all your other environments. So if you would install stuff in base, it will mostly copy that also to your new environment. So if I would install something in base, and I would create an environment from my base environment. For example, I install pandas in my base. And I would create a new environment, say Bootcamp 1. It will automatically take pandas to that environment too. Okay.
I think we can add one extra thing. Why do we need this? There are links at the end of the notebooks, but just to explain why do we need this? What if I don't have Conda installed and I just will install everything on my computer? What happens?
Yeah, good one. So basically, if you would just install everything in one space, and you would not need it anymore in a few months, it will still be there. If you would install it in a closed environment, you can throw out that environment, but you cannot throw out your computer, you know? So that is why it is very handy to be using closed environments. So closed boxes where you install stuff in. So if you now are a beginner and you don't really know what you do, you are probably going to mess up your computer by installing everything on your computer, and it will slow down your computer. But if I install it in a separate environment, I can just delete that environment if I don't use it anymore, and it will save space in my computer.
Yeah, and we have two questions about this. Why? The first question, what will happen if I have different versions of Python?
Nothing will happen. You just need to make sure that you install your stuff in the right version, or that you create a separate environment, and that the Python version is there for you where you install the other dependencies as well. So you can also have two different versions on your computer. And also, if you do want to have multiple versions, which is very common because in some projects you might want to use Python 3.7.3, 3.8, it can happen. So I like to use pyenv. And pyenv is a way to have multiple versions of, I will just make it bigger, multiple versions of Python installed. So you can Google pyenv yourself, and it will make sure that you have separate, create separate environments with separate Python versions. And you can have multiple Python versions on your computer there as well.
And another question, are we going to use any package other than pandas in this course?
For now, no, we might use NumPy, the basics from that, visualization tools, Seaborn, for example, and Matplotlib. But if you're more interested in visualization, there is check out our GitHub here. So just to make sure that we are here on the same page, because for some people this is maybe too easy and not what you have expected. You can run through these repositories and look if there's something that is useful for you. So what you will find here is a GitHub a beginner's tutorial, an advanced pandas, which is maybe for after this course, but also a visualization, which is a very useful one if you want to be more focused on visualization and you think this is actually going too slow for you. So here you would work with Seaborn, pandas, and matplotlib. Just go to the main, our main GitHub, and yeah, just go through it.
And we have really good question. I will read it. How to throw away the virtual environment you don't want?
Depends on where you installed it. In Conda, for example, then look at the Conda command. Conda help will show you the list from what you can do. You can clean it. You can also uninstall it. You can uninstall, then you uninstall Conda, but you can also remove it. So remove a list of the packages from a specific environment. I think this will show you the list. I'm not sure if this is working. No.
You don't need to say err. You just say conda remove bootcamp or conda remove /n bootcamp.
Yeah.
And while it's doing, there is a question. If I open the week 1 lesson document, the last paragraph is read and learn more. I think I missed some links, for example, the explanation of environments. I think it's a question related to Git pull origin.
Yeah, so go to where you installed it, or where you download it, so where you cloned it actually. So that would be, for me, it will be the Bootcamp data. And then I do make it bigger for you. And if you do this command, you will have the latest version.
Yeah, and I think the last question for today, it's a question from Windows user, but it's the same. It's completely related to all users. It's how do I save changes in Jupyter Notebook when making changes locally, apart from using file save as?
I'm not sure if I get what you mean. So you mean if we are here and we go to the assignment, for example, and you want to do something here. It's not working, you know that. I can just save here and it creates a checkpoint. If I go away, it will have this. Also, if I close it. The thing is, if you would want to keep your changes within this one, and you don't want to overwrite what we give to you, it can be helpful to make another file, so another notebook. Because if you do git pull origin, it will overwrite it.
Yeah, and I think, okay, they're still incoming, but I think let's finalize. Yeah, we have the question is about Git error, but I think it's really good question and we can just redirect it to this useful links. Because when you, this is the good question to Google. So I will stop on it and I think we should round up because we're already 10 minutes behind the schedule.
Okay, so it's about how to Google?
Yeah, It's error. So I get this error fatal, not a Git repository or any of the parent directories Git.
Okay.
When you do something not in the folder that initiated by Git.
Okay. Yeah, so then you're not in the right directory, probably, or you didn't initialize Git. Are you sure that you're in this folder? Can you do Git status? No, probably not. Then you have to make sure that you're in the right folder. So what you can see with me, I modified it. And if I would push this, you will get my version again from GitHub. So if you want to save your local changes, I would just also recommend just to extra save it if you're not familiar yet with Git. Because the chances are there that you might overwrite what we just give to you. So then just make a copy of your directory and save it locally somewhere else. So that you can also review it later if you want to.
Yeah, okay. I think that we'll finish on this note right now. Thank you so much, Demi. Thank you also mentors who helped us answering some of the open questions, and for all the participants. After this session, we'll send you a short feedback form because we noted that in the beginning it was a little bit bumpy. We are happy to see that later it's improved, so at least now you are able to see more clearly what we're giving to you. So yeah, we'll send a short feedback form, and we really will highly appreciate if you fill it. Then we can improve our session for better. Thanks a lot. So Demi, should we end?
Yeah, I think so. It's yeah, very useful for us as well if you have feedback. And yeah, look at next week. And that will be going a bit faster. So please, if this was going too fast for you, read up on the number, strings, and data types. And next week, we also have a more difficult assignment. This is just because we didn't know if this was enough or not enough, but try to make yourself familiar with GitHub, try to make yourself familiar with virtual environments, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, and I also want to add, if you feel that you're lagging behind, if you feel that you can make it, it's too hard for you, we are all here for you to help. This is the reason why we started this bootcamp. So if something is too fast, just relax, have some time, and reread it again, and ask questions in the bootcamp help channel. Thanks.
Yeah. And also, if you would like to see some other things in the future, so in the last the third or the fourth week, let us know. We're going to dive deep into pandas, and we'll give you your own assignments, how to manipulate your data, and go find yourself a data set. That is assignment 1. So that you really want to learn from. So it can be from your work, can be from your personal life, whatever, and otherwise find Kaggle. Kaggle is very useful. You find that in the assignments as well. But real life data sets are cooler to use, of course.
Okay, thank you so much. We are stopping for now and talk to you later next week. Bye.